So what is everything you have been taught about, hard work is just mathematically wrong?
Oh, that is the ultimate question, right?
Right. Because we are completely obsessed as a culture with this idea that success is purely about grinding harder than the next person. Like hustle culture is everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's the default setting.
But when you look at the architecture of the most influential, wealthy, or free people in history, hard work isn't the engine of their success. It's really just the exhaust.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Today, for this deep dive, we are opening the hood to look at the actual engine.
Which honestly requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we view high achievement.
Totally.
Because it is incredibly tempting to look at someone who has reached massive scale and just assume, well, they were born with some mysterious gift or, they caught a lucky break.
Yeah, the overnight success myth.
Exactly. Believing that success is magic is comforting because it takes the pressure off of you. If it is completely out of your hands, you don't have to try.
You can just sit back and say, well, the universe didn't pick me.
Right.
But the source material we are diving into today pretty much destroys that comfort entirely.
It really does.
We are looking at excerpts from The Principles of Prosperity, Napoleon Hill's success blueprint. And this is a really rigorous distillation of the core mechanics found in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, and Hill spent years studying the absolute titans of his era. And he didn't do it to write vague, feel-good motivation.
No, not at all.
He was trying to extract an actionable, repeatable architecture. He mapped out this timeless cognitive framework.
Which is so refreshing. It's not just believing yourself.
Right. What we are really discussing today is the actual psychological mechanism for taking a thought that, only exists inside your head and forcing it to manifest in external reality.
And it's a strict, unyielding set of principles.
Very strict.
Because before you can execute any kind of grand plan out there in the real world, you really have to build that internal architecture first. Everything begins purely in the mind.
It has to.
And the very first component of this blueprint that Hill talks about is desire. But the text is extremely rigid here, like I want to be rich or I want to be successful. That does not qualify as a desire.
No, because a vague wish gives your brain absolutely nothing to process.
Nothing at all.
In this framework, desire must be absolute. It has to be definitive.
I read this and I immediately thought about programming a GPS.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you cannot just get in your car, turn on the navigation, and type in somewhere nice.
The GPS is just going to sit there.
It's going to do absolutely nothing. You need the exact street address, the zip code, the city.
Exactly.
And Hill says you need to know exactly what you want, exactly how much money down to the actual dollar. And this is the most mechanical part of it. I think exactly what you are willing to give in return.
Yeah, you have to program in the toll for the road you're taking.
Exactly.
The toll. And that requirement of knowing what you will give in return, it forces a massive reality check on the cognitive system.
How so?
Well, it grounds the goal in trade-offs. You aren't just daydreaming anymore. But to turn that programmed destination into actual forward motion, the blueprint introduces the next component, which is faith.
Right.
And we should clarify right up front, this is not about religious faith.
No, it's cognitive faith. It's this absolute belief that you can achieve the goal before you see a single piece of tangible evidence out there in the real world.
Right. Mechanically speaking, doubt is literal friction in the human brain.
Wait, literal friction. Explain that.
Yeah. So if you do not truly believe the outcome is possible, your brain will not allocate the necessary caloric and cognitive energy to solve the really complex problems that inevitably pop up.
Oh, wow. Because it thinks it's a waste of time.
Exactly. Your subconscious will view the effort as a waste of biological resources.
That makes so much sense.
But belief, on the other hand, overrides that natural conservation of energy. It is the fuel that keeps the cognitive engine running when the external world is just not giving you any positive feedback.
Okay, hold on though. I need to push back on this next phase a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because this is where the blueprint introduces autosuggestion.
Huh? Yes.
Yeah. The source defines this as feeding the mind with positive thoughts, repeatedly telling yourself you will succeed in order to shape the subconscious.
Right.
And I read that, and my immediate thought was, is this just early 20th century toxic positivity?
A lot of people think that.
Like, if my bank account is at 0, and I'm just standing in front of a mirror telling my subconscious I am wealthy, my brain isn't stupid.
No, it's not.
It is going to reject that as a blatant lie.
Yeah.
So how is that mechanically useful at all?
That is the absolute most common friction point people hit with this material.
It just feels like delusion.
It does feel like delusion, but if you look at the actual mechanics of cognitive dissonance, it starts to make perfect sense.
Okay.
When you introduce a thought that completely conflicts with your current reality, your brain hates that tension. It desperately wants to resolve the dissonance.
So it rejects the new thought to maintain the current reality, because that's easier.
Right. If you offer the thought passively, yes, it rejects it. But if you hold that new thought with relentless intensity through autosuggestion, you actually force the brain's hand.
Really?
Yeah, it eventually stops rejecting the thought as a lie and starts actively searching for ways to make it true, just to resolve that internal conflict.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Think of a professional Olympic skier.
Okay.
They will stand at the top of a mountain with their eyes closed, physically swaying, visualizing the exact trajectory of a slalom run 1,000 times before they ever push off.
Right, you see them doing that on TV all the time. They are essentially tricking the motor cortex into believing they have already completed the run.
Exactly. They are firing the exact same neurological pathways. So when they actually hit the snow under extreme pressure, the body executes automatically.
Wow.
Autosuggestion is the deliberate, mechanical act of programming a subconscious machine that just never turns off.
So it's always running anyway.
Always. And if you do not deliberately steer it with focused goals, it will automatically absorb the ambient noise of the world. And let's face it, the ambient noise is almost always fear, limitation, and doubt.
Yeah, just turn on the news for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
So it's not magic. It is really just ensuring the subconscious is a tool working for you rather than a default program working against you.
Precisely.
But having a tuned internal belief system, I mean, that doesn't instantly change the physical world.
No, it doesn't.
So how does the brain take that internal desire and process the absolute chaos of reality to actually achieve it? Hill describes the brain as a broadcasting system.
Right.
He says, focus thoughts, send signals out, and attract similar ideas and opportunities.
And this is the critical transition from the internal workshop to the external environment.
Right.
Because your brain is hit with millions of bits of sensory information every single second.
It's overwhelming. You know, when I read the broadcasting system concept, I instantly thought of the algorithm on your social media feed.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. Like whatever you focus on, whatever you click, whatever you engage with, the algorithm takes note.
Yep, it tracks everything.
And suddenly your entire feed is flooded with that exact topic. It feels like the app is reading your mind, but it is really just mirroring your focus back to you.
Exactly. And your brain is the original algorithm.
The original algorithm, I love that.
Once you program it with a clear desire, it starts filtering the real world to show you the exact opportunities, people, and resources that match your goal. Psychologists refer to this mechanism as the reticular activating system.
The RAS.
Yes, it is the brain's filter. It has to delete like 99% of the world's data just so you can function without being overwhelmed.
Right. Otherwise, we'd all just short circuit.
Completely. So by setting a definite desire and reinforcing it with autosuggestion, you are telling your reticular activating system, hey, this specific type of opportunity is critical to my survival. Do not filter this out.
Wow.
You literally become capable of perceiving things that an untrained brain remains entirely blind to.
But, I mean, perceiving an opportunity is completely useless if you do not have the tools to capture it, right?
Oh, that's the catch.
Because if the reticular activating system highlights a path, but you don't actually know how to walk it, the opportunity just dies right there.
It evaporates.
Which bridges us into the next required tool from the blueprint, which is specialized knowledge.
Yes.
And Hill warns that general knowledge, no matter how vast or impressive it is completely inadequate for generating wealth or success.
And if we look at the listener profile for a deep dive like this, you know, the learner, they love gathering information.
No, we all do. We love reading and learning.
Right. But this principle should actually be a massive relief for you.
How so?
Because we often fall into this paralyzing trap of thinking we need to be omniscient geniuses.
Oh, yeah. Like we need to be experts in everything.
Exactly. We think we need to understand everything about business and finance and marketing and product development just to start.
It's exhausting.
But specialized knowledge completely removes that cognitive overwhelm. You don't have to know everything. You only need the precise utility required for your specific goal.
Or, and he points this out too, you just need to find the specific people who hold that specialized knowledge and utilize them.
Exactly. It is entirely about utility, not trivia.
Right.
And once you have gathered those specialized pieces of knowledge, you have to synthesize them. The blueprint outlines the faculty of imagination next.
But it draws a very sharp distinction here between two types, right? Creative imagination and synthetic imagination.
Yes.
So synthetic imagination is taking existing concepts and combining them, whereas creative imagination is pulling completely unprecedented ideas out of the ether.
Basically, yes.
But if I am trying to build a business or solve a major problem, relying on creative imagination just feels like waiting for a lightning strike.
It really does.
How do you mechanically force innovation if you're just sitting around waiting to be struck by genius?
Well, the secret is you don't force creative imagination. You rely on synthetic imagination.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Almost all major breakthroughs that we celebrate today as sheer unprecedented genius are merely synthetic.
Give me an example of that.
Look at the original smartphone.
Right.
The creator didn't mine a new element from the earth.
Right.
It was just a mobile phone, a digital camera, and an MP3 player smashed into a single interface.
That's so true. They just combined what was already there.
Exactly. You
Right.
do not need to invent a new primary color to paint a masterpiece. You just have to arrange the existing colors differently.
Okay, so we have the internal spark. We have the GPS programmed with a destination.
Yep.
We have the brain's algorithm filtering for opportunities. And we have the specialized tools gathered to build with.
Full toolkit.
But a perfectly tuned mental framework still has to collide with physical reality. And reality always pushes back.
Always.
So we are entering the execution phase, and this seems to be where the vast majority of people stall out.
Oh, without a doubt. Because thought without execution is merely a hallucination.
A hallucination. That is harsh but true.
The collision with reality begins with organized planning.
Right. And the source notes that a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Yep.
But Hill also pretty much guarantees that your first plan will fail.
Oh, definitely will.
So why does the brain need a written plan mechanically if the plan is just destined to break anyway?
Because a written plan shifts the cognitive load from the amygdala, which is the fear center, to the prefrontal cortex, which is the logical center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When you hit a wall out there in reality, an unplanned mind triggers a panic response, fight or flight.
Because it doesn't know what to do next.
Exactly. But a planned mind views the failure simply as flawed data.
Just feedback.
Right. The unsuccessful person sees the broken plan as a stop sign, indicating that they are inadequate.
Like, I guess I'm not cut out for this.
Exactly. But the successful person views it as a hypothesis that just yielded a negative result. So you adjust the variables and test a new plan.
And adjusting those variables requires making hard choices, which introduces Hill's rule on decision.
A very important rule.
He states that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful people make decisions agonizingly slowly and abandon them at the first sign of trouble.
Yep.
But what is the actual high-stakes cost of indecision here? I mean, we all know people who take 20 minutes to order a meal at a restaurant.
Oh, sure.
But how does that translate to actually failing in life?
Because the cognitive cost of indecision is astronomical.
Really?
Yes. When you remain in a state of indecision regarding a business move or, a life path, you are forcing your brain's processing power to continuously map out every possible negative outcome of every possible path.
Oh, wow.
You were living in a dozen different failure scenarios simultaneously.
That sounds absolutely exhausting.
It burns immense cognitive load. It breeds doubt. And as that doubt ferments, it turns into pure fear.
So you're basically torturing yourself.
Exactly. But by making a firm, quick decision, you collapse all of those alternate scenarios.
Yeah.
You cut off the oxygen supply to the fear because your brain is no longer modeling failure across multiple timelines.
It's just modeling execution on a single path.
Precisely.
So making the decision actually assassinates the fear.
It really does.
But what happens when you commit to that single path and the world starts criticizing you?
Oh, and it will.
Because the blueprint highlights overcoming fears, specifically the fear of failure and the fear of criticism. How does someone operationalize persistence when their entire social circle is, telling them their plan is crazy?
Well, we tend to mythologize high achievers as being entirely fearless, right? Like they're immune to criticism.
Yeah, like robots.
But the mechanics show otherwise. Successful people feel the exact same physiological fear of criticism as everyone else.
They still get that pit in their stomach.
Absolutely. The difference lies entirely in how they interpret the friction.
They don't view the urge to quit as an actual failure.
No. They recognize a fundamental truth about dopamine and persistence.
Okay, unpack that.
When you face harsh criticism or continuous failure, your dopamine levels naturally plummet, and that creates an overwhelming biological urge to surrender. Average individuals let that dopamine crash dictate their actions.
They just give up because they feel bad.
Right. But successful people have trained their brains to decouple dopamine from immediate external validation.
Oh, so they aren't waiting for people to cheer for them.
Exactly. They attach their reward system to the sheer execution of the plan itself.
Wow.
They understand that the overwhelming urge to quit is not a signal of defeat. It is actually a geographical marker.
A marker indicating that success is close.
Success almost always arrives at precisely one moment after the point where the average person capitulates.
That's wild.
Persistence is really just the cognitive tolerance to dopamine deprivation. It is the stubborn refusal to let a temporary emotional state dictate the timeline of a definitive goal.
That completely reframes the struggle for me. The urge to quit is just a signpost.
Just a signpost.
Okay, so let's say you master this internal engine. You master the drive, you filter the opportunities, you execute despite the fear, and you persist through those dopamine crashes.
You're doing great, yeah.
Eventually, you are going to hit a hard ceiling. I mean, you reach the absolute limits of what one single human processor can accomplish.
You inevitably will.
And that brings us to the final stage of the blueprint, which is external multipliers.
Right, because it is a mechanical impossibility to reach massive scale in a vacuum. You just cannot do it alone.
And the blueprint calls this the mastermind principle. It involves surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals to gain knowledge, energy, and support.
Yes.
Now, the common metaphor here is assembling a team of superheroes, like the Avengers.
Sure.
But that feels a bit cliche to me. It doesn't really explain how it accelerates success mechanically.
Yeah, the superhero thing is a bit played out. A better way to understand the mastermind principle is actually through the lens of parallel computing.
Okay, parallel computing, I like that.
If you take one incredibly powerful computer processor and force it to render a massive complex simulation on its own, it will eventually overheat and crash.
Because the workload is just too heavy.
Exactly. But if you link 5 processors together, you don't just add their speeds, you exponentially increase the processing power.
Because they distribute the cognitive load.
They distribute the load, and they check each other's errors in real time.
Oh, that's huge.
A true mastermind group functions the exact same way. You sync up multiple perfectly tuned cognitive engines.
So one person's specialized knowledge covers another's blind spot.
Exactly. The collective intelligence and resilience become exponentially greater than the sum of the individual parts.
Which accelerates you toward the final and frankly the most mysterious concept outlined in the blueprint, the sixth sense.
Ah, yes. The sixth sense.
The source describes this as an ultimate intuition, an inner guide that helps you navigate complex situations, instantly sensing right from wrong.
Right.
And I have to admit, after all this talk of cognitive processing and mechanics and dopamine, sixth sense sounds like we are drifting into pure mysticism.
It really does sound mystical on the surface. But if you look at the architecture we have just built over the course of this deep dive, it is incredibly grounded.
Okay.
The sixth sense is not magic. It is the natural, inevitable culmination of everything we've discussed today.
How does intuition operate as a mechanic, though?
Well, think about the progression. You start with a definite desire. You reinforce it daily through autosuggestion, literally forcing the brain to adapt.
Right.
Your reticular activating system spends years filtering reality for highly specific opportunities. You gather specialized knowledge, you execute plans, analyze failures as data, and process all those variables through a mastermind group.
It's a massive amount of processing.
It is. And if you run this exact cycle for years, all of that conscious effort, all of that specialized data gets completely downloaded and compressed into your subconscious mind.
Oh, I see. So your subconscious algorithm becomes so advanced and efficient that it no longer needs to show your conscious mind its work.
Exactly. It operates like a chess grandmaster.
Oh, I love that analogy.
The novice has to consciously calculate every single move, burning time and energy.
Thinking, if I move here, they move there.
Right. But a grandmaster looks at the board and instantly knows the correct move without thinking.
Because they've seen it a million times.
Their brain processes the complex situation, recognizes patterns based on thousands of past iterations, and just hands them the answer instantaneously.
Wow.
You experience it as a sudden gut feeling or intuition, but it is really just your highly tuned cognitive engine operating at absolute maximum efficiency.
It's the definition of mastery.
It truly is.
Everything clicks together. It is a complete end-to-end system. So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now?
That's the big question.
If we pull back and look at the entire engine Napoleon Hill mapped out, the core message is undeniably clear. Your thoughts truly do shape your physical reality.
They absolutely do.
But they do not do it through magic or hoping or wishing upon a star. They do it through mechanics.
Mechanics that require a terrifyingly clear goal, a profound cognitive belief, a synthesized plan, and the absolute relentless tolerance to keep executing when the external world pushes back.
Which brings us to the foundational golden quote from the source material. The one sentence that perfectly summarizes this entire blueprint. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
It's a classic for a reason. And as we consider the weight of that quote today, I really want to leave you with one final provocation to explore on your own.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have established that your thoughts mechanically shape your reality, and that your subconscious is an active engine that runs on whatever fuel it is fed.
Right.
But today, unlike in Napoleon Hill's era, we live in a world where we are constantly bombarded by external programs.
Oh, nonstop.
Social media algorithms, 24/7 news cycles, endless notifications on our phones. These are multi-billion-dollar systems engineered specifically to hijack your reticular activating system.
Yeah, it is like thousands of corporations and influencers are all trying to quietly program the destination into your GPS.
That is exactly what they're doing. So the vital question you must ask yourself is this. If your thoughts entirely shape your reality, whose reality are you actually building right now? Are your definite desires truly yours? Or were they quietly planted in your subconscious by our modern digital environment?
That is a chilling thought.
It is. If you genuinely want to build the engine of your own success, it might be time to take strict control of the broadcast.